Hi, this is Mash Rundown. If you enjoy watching movies as much as we do, subscribe and hit the like button down below. It really helps us out.
Today we're going to be doing our top 100 movies of all time. Our review for Get Out, number 100. Get Out was written and directed by Jordan Peele. It stars Daniel Kaluuya as Chris, Allison Williams as Rose, Bradley Whitford as Dean, Catherine Keener as Missy, Caleb Landry Jones as Jeremy, and Lil Ray Howdry as Rod.
Essentially, Get Out is a horror movie that follows the journey of Chris, who's an African-American male, going to his girlfriend's parents' house for the first time. She's a white Caucasian lady, and the anxieties of interracial couples, meeting parents for the first time, and the anxieties and horror that follow from that. Especially when he finds out they're not as normal as what they first seemed.
Yes.
Just in terms of themes, there's a lot of racial commentary, and it's not necessarily outright racism in the movie. There's a lot of implicit biases that the movie looks at, and it does it in a very interesting and provocative way that leaves you thinking about how you may interact with people of different races, of different sexualities, anyone who's really different from you. Because a lot of the times in the movie, it seems like the people mean well because they want to relate to him, but they do it in such a way that shows the implicit bias and the fact that they see him as an African-American male first and foremost instead of a person and what qualities he has as a person, his career, because he's a very successful photographer and all of that. So they're just trying to connect him in a racially biased way, even though, it's not necessarily meant to be.
The movie also has a lot of Stepford vibes in it. It carries on like modern day Stepford-y. Instead of male and female now, it's racially motivated type of feeling. That was very well handled.
Yeah. So I think Jordan Peele definitely paid homage to Stepford Wives. And he played homage to Stephen King quite a lot as well. So it was really nicely done, and there were a lot of small Easter eggs placed within the movie that was beautifully done and very interesting, and it makes the movie almost worth watching a second time so that you can actually go back and pick up on all these Easter eggs that you may have missed the first time around. The good?
The acting throughout was phenomenal. Our protagonist, Chris, was very unsettled throughout the movie, and you could see the growing tension that he was experiencing. The antagonists were easy to dislike, and they got more and more dislikable as the movie continued. Everybody did a fantastic job. It was very, very enjoyable, and the performances were all top-notch.
I really also liked the character development because you actually started to care about the characters and you felt for them. Even the antagonists, there was a lot of character development.
The story in general was gripping. It was entertaining. It was well thought out. It had little twists and turns and a lot of foreshadowing, but it just was so well done. The story standalone was worth watching.
And it was directed really well.
Yes.
I think Jordan Peele did an amazing job. And when I look at this versus, for example, Antebellum, because Antebellum was supposed to be a Get Out kind of movie, this movie succeeded in every place that Antebellum failed. So even though I think the Antebellum director worked with Jordan Peele on Get Out, I still think that Jordan Peele has something different that made this movie hit all the notes perfectly, whereas Antebellum, it just fell flat.
Yeah. I'd be happy to watch anything Jordan Peele does at this stage.
Yeah, it was wonderful.
So the story was very unsettling, very intense, a lot of tension, and it was broken up with little bits of humour every now and then, which broke up the tension quite nicely, which allowed us a little bit of respite.
And it really allowed us to look at difficult topics such as racism in a way that is very digestible for people and allows people to sit back and think about it. And I think it will have a much more lasting impact than what a movie such as Antebellum had. Because here you're going to think about, how do I speak to people? Do I do that? Maybe I shouldn't. And you might actually start to pick up those kind of things that you can change, because everyone has implicit biases within themselves, even if you don't realize you do. So this just allowed you to identify that.
The score was another big positive to me. There was a lot of tension in the score. There was a lot of these sharp notes which really like unnerved you and unsettled you, and it was very, very, very well done. Also, there was not this need for constant undertone throughout the movie. They let some scenes sit without music, and that stillness helped with the tension. It helped to build the emptiness. It helped to add to that little bit of unsettledness as well, and it was very well done.
It definitely set the mood, and it paid homage to some of the old school horror classics by doing that, which I really liked.
Yes.
And as far as the bad goes, I don't think there was really anything bad for me. The only thing that made me mad, but maybe it's from my psychology background, is I would never have allowed that woman to hypnotize me. That was so inappropriate. But it was great for this plot line of the movie, because obviously, you know, this character's an antagonist. She's a bad guy. So obviously she's going to be a bad therapist, a bad psychiatrist, and actually do things that are ethically very unsound. I personally would never go into a therapist's room, even if it's a friend of mine, and sit in her therapy chair where the patient sits or where the client sits, because then that's putting me in the position to be in this therapeutic relationship, even though it's something that's not supposed to be happening, just because it becomes an automatic thing. And I can understand almost as a therapist how sometimes you can almost go into therapy mode when you're talking to someone and, you know, ask some reflective questions, and you're nodding and all those things that you actually do as a therapist, but not like blatantly hypnotize someone against their will.
Yes.
That was awful. I would have left the house after I found out that definitely happened, and was like, you know what? That's inappropriate. I'm never speaking to this person anymore. And I would probably report them, because it's so ethically bad that was like, yeah.
From a slightly more layman's point of view, I could see myself ending up in that chair. Then probably the exact same thing happening. Like, yes.
Overall, I really thought it was a good horror movie that used satire and racial commentary to elicit and further the storyline, but also elicit responses and thoughts in people in a meaningful way that I think anyone who really watches it and pays attention to it may actually start to change themselves for the better.
Yeah.
And I think that's the type of movies we need now. Those type of movies where people can actually learn what not to do.
Basically, where you walk out and you're actually thinking about things.
But still had an amazing experience along the way. So I think anyone who enjoys horror movies will enjoy this, because it's not only about the racial commentary, there's actually a very good storyline that goes with it. I think anyone who wants to have their thoughts provoked will also enjoy this movie. Yeah. Anyone who enjoys thrillers will probably also enjoy this quite a lot. I think overall it was just a really good movie that most people will actually enjoy.
Yeah.
I think in terms of score, I give it a 9 out of 10.
No, I'll also give it a 9 out of 10.
So that gives us a total of 9 out of 10 from the both of us. I think it was probably our favourite movie in the last few months.
Definitely, by far.
I'm surprised we haven't seen it yet.
I was surprised that we haven't seen it, considering how good it was.
Yeah.
So, number 100, very good start on the top 100 list.
Yes, definitely a very good start.
Let us know in the comments down below what you thought of Jordan Peele's directorial debut.
Yay or nay? Don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button down below. Bye.
Later.